Al Sharpton says Kamala Harris treated badly, held to higher standard because she is a black woman. Hello and welcome to TST. If you are new to the channel, tap on the subscription button and press the notification bell so you can receive news and updates that you can rely on daily. On Tuesday's broadcast of MSNBC's Deadline Network, host Al Sharpton argued Senator Kamala Harris had to drop out of the 2020 presidential campaign in part because of racism and sexism. Sharpton said, "First of all, I think that she ran a great race. I think that she is a great candidate." He continued, "But she is dealing with an environment where for the first time, that you have these kind of rules that are different." Host Nicole Wallace asked, "What rules?" Sharpton said, "Certain amount of money, certain amount of polling to be in the debates. And when you have a Tom Steyer, who is fine, raised great issues, but this woman is a U.S. Senator, was Attorney General of the state, and was a district attorney. Steyer could come in and buy commercials and up his polling. And I think that the real problem the Democrats are going to have is the next debate. You have no black on that stage. The Democrat Party cannot have a stage where black voters do not see themselves reflected." He continued, "Where they don't see themselves reflected and expect that we'll come out and vote in big numbers. You must have had black turnout. But we don't turn up in the debate. There is something that is wrong with that, and some of us are not going to be quiet about it." Wallace asked if Sharpton believed Harris was treated badly by the press. Sharpton said, "I think she was definitely treated badly by the press. I've never seen a candidate taken apart the way she was in the last several days. Yes, there are organizational problems. Yes, there were financial problems. You have people on that debate stage with no organization at all, and the press is not writing about it." He continued, "I think, again, a lot of assessment has to be made how the media dealt with it. We have to look at the rules." He added, "What are you going to say to black voters when they look at that stage and nobody like them is there? The Democratic Party will have to look at that and deal with that because that is a problem." Wallace asked, "I work for Sarah Palin. I carefully watched and covered the campaign of Hillary Clinton. I do think that women are still held to different standards as candidates. They have to have a well-run campaign. Never mind that Donald Trump didn't have a campaign. He literally flew around with hope ironing his pants. They have to be perfect on the stump, which I never saw her stumble. Joe Biden is beloved, and he is never perfect on the stump. I think there is a gender piece here that we still suck at talking about." Sharpton said, "You're right." He added, "Women are held to a different standard, and black women especially are held to a different standard." Wallace said, "And black women, though, by the way, voted for Trump in the lowest numbers. So they can say that they told us so." Take a look.
Well, first of all, I think she ran a great race. I think she's a great candidate, and I think that
you can't say she ran a great race.
Well,
I mean, you could say
I can, and I did say it. She
Okay.
ran a great race, and I'll say it again.
She ran a great race. She wouldn't be in this position.
She ran a great race,
candidate.
but she's dealing in an environment where you have, for the first time, these kinds of rules that are different. I ran in 04. You didn't have these rules. When you have people like Tom Steyer.
What rules? What rules, Rev?
A certain amount of money, a certain amount of polling to be in the debates. And when you have a Steyer who is fine, who's raised great issues, but who has never, this woman is a U.S. Senator, was Attorney General of the state, and was a district attorney. Steyer could come in and buy commercials and up his polling. And I think that the real problem the Democrats are going to have is the next debate. You have no black on that stage, and the Democratic Party cannot have a stage where black voters do not see themselves reflected. Wait a minute, let me finish my point. Where they don't see themselves reflected and expect we're going to come out and vote in big numbers. You must have black turnout, but we don't turn up in the debate. But there's something that is wrong with that, and some of us are not going to be quiet about it.
You shouldn't be quiet, but why did Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, why were they rating so poorly with African-American voters?
But you have to go into polling, you have to go into media. There's a lot of reasons that you can come in with that. Many times, Do you know the polling that Barack Obama had among black voters? Yeah. And he ended up, when they started voting, he proved the polls wrong. And I think we've got to give credit to where credit is due. They ran despite that. And Cory Booker still could qualify if the polls change. But I think Kamala Harris, you think she grilled Barr, you wait till they get to the U.S. Senate if there's a trial. Well, I think that you've not heard the last of Kamala Harris.
Rev, I mean, you're on the show all the time. I don't often hear you sound this angry. Was she treated badly by the DNC? Was she treated badly by the press? I mean,
I think she was definitely treated badly by the press. I mean, I've never seen a candidate taken apart the way she was in the last several days. Yes, there were organizational problems. Yes, there were financial problems. But you have people on that debate stage who has no organization at all.
Well, let me just say,
and the press is not writing about it.
Is Donald Trump, who's literally home alone, talking to Rudy.
And himself. I mean, he's a guy that walks around talking on Twitter all night. And I think, again, what a lot of assessment has to be made is how the media dealt with it. We have to look at the rules. But the bottom line, I think the general concern that I think Donnie and I share is that what are you going to say? I just did my 3-hour radio show. What are you going to say to black voters when they look at that stage and nobody like them is there? And the Democratic Party is going to have to look at that and deal with that, because that's a problem.
But I think that's the problem. I mean, that's the symptom of the problem, that nobody's there. What we have to look at is why we had two, to your point, of the most experienced candidates, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, who blow a lot of these other people away as far as their credentials, yet we're not connecting. That's what we have to look at.
Can I offer that black people are no different than white people, and that they just are scared and they wanted to go with the person they think was the most electable, full stop. And I'm also going to be Switzerland here, okay? And I think you're both right. Kamala ran a great campaign. Kamala Harris ran a great campaign in that she was such an engaging candidate. I've covered a number of presidential candidates. She is genuine. She is warm.
I love a person.
She's sparkling. She connects with people. I talked with one of her top supporters right before we came in here, and this person said she lost her sister, and the first person to call her was Kamala Harris. She's the real deal in that sense. But there were some real problems in terms of the leadership decisions. She had the same people who ran her California campaign running her national campaign, and there was a lot of disarray there. There were some decisions made that maybe weren't the best, and that if you're struggling financially, don't get rid of 5 people on your finance team. There were some big strategic errors. Trying to get through to her, for instance, I know people who were trying to get through to her, hey, don't come out the door for Medicare for all. There's some major dysfunctional problems with this approach, and then having to have her, backpedal on that. So there's some serious structural issues, but the Rev's also right that, money talks. And this is the place where we are right now in our primaries on both sides.
Not to shush either of you. I love you mucho. But let me ask the two of you.
We need to be shushed.
I worked for Sarah Palin. I carefully watched and covered the campaign of Hillary Clinton. I do think that women are still held to different standards as candidates. They have to have well-run campaigns. Never mind that Donald Trump didn't have a campaign. He literally flew around with hope ironing his pants. They have to be perfect on the stump, which I never saw her stumble. Joe Biden is beloved. I'm a fan. He's never perfect on the stump. I mean, I do think there is a gender piece here that we still suck at talking about.
No, you're right, and I don't mean to cut you off. You're right. Women.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And did you know TST has an official merch store where we have a collection of custom t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, phone covers, and many more. Make sure to give it a check and maybe help us out by picking some products for yourself and your loved ones. It does make a huge difference with what we're trying to do here. Link to the store is in the description box below. And please share this news among friends and family. And do not forget to subscribe to Top Stories Today. Thank you for tuning in to TST. I'm David Ravine, and I'll catch you in the next one.